So it happened again.
What, that we got 9 out of 10 points this week?
Shh. No. Don't wake the demons, Craig. Don't wake the demon. Oh, wait. They're already awakened.
The demons don't sleep, man.
That's the craziest thing that I saw today. Obviously, the Leafs have demons, and they lost last night, which was stupid. But Dangle talked about it on his LFR.
Yeah.
And then some random human commented on our Facebook post from how many weeks ago when we called the episode Demons? And
I think that was last week.
No way.
Yeah, because it was the Montreal game.
Okay.
Time is irrelevant in this.
That ruins that. That ruins that. But I just I've never seen this person.
It's 2020, man. Time is irrelevant.
That's true. Wait, what?
Exactly.
I'm not married yet. Damn. Okay.
No, you got married in 2020.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2020.
Yeah,
The 3-year year.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So, most important question of the podcast. Which is better? Matthews scoring 70 goals or Matthews scoring 69 goals?
I think you know the answer to that.
All I want to hear in an interview is, Matthews, how was it like scoring your 69th goal? Nice.
Yeah. It was nice.
That's it. Just nice. That's good. That's good. Elliot Friedman, 69. Nice.
I'm more than happy for him not to score 70 if that is the case.
I know, that's tough, though. Like, you want it to be a funny number, but also 70.
Yes.
I think he's on pace for 69. It might have changed since not scoring yesterday, but that is a lot of goals.
Yeah, first time since, what did I say, 92, 93, where it was McGillney and Solani scored 76, I think it was.
Oh, my God.
Ovechkin had 65 in 08. Stamkos had 60 in 2012.
Yes.
And since then, yeah, we haven't had a single 60-goal scorer.
Nope.
We also had 2 shortened seasons since then, but...
Yeah, Matthews would have had at least over 50 in both those seasons.
3 shortened seasons, actually, but not that Matthews played.
Right.
The lockout.
Right. Gotcha. So, yeah, the Leafs lose to the Panthers 7-6 in overtime. They get their point, which is fine and dandy.
Keeps them ahead of Boston and Tampa.
It definitely did. Speaking of Boston and Tampa and all the other teams in the East in the playoffs, I don't know if you heard on Dangle's LFR this morning. The Leafs are 7-0-1 against the other 7 playoff teams in the East.
Yeah.
Since November 1st. I don't know why since November 1st. Like, it's the didn't it start in October? But
yeah, that seems odd.
Maybe missed a couple games. Maybe there is a loss in there, but there wouldn't be many.
And haven't they played those teams a lot in the last couple, 2 months?
I think so.
We've seen a lot of Carolina. I guess we haven't seen New York in a while.
True.
I think we played them a lot at the beginning of the season.
But, the one is the loss we had last night.
Yes.
7-0-1. And the drubbing of Tampa the night before.
And 3-on-3 doesn't happen in overtime. So that game could end
in the playoffs
differently. Yeah, sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. So that is, that's good.
Yes.
That we can stand up against these teams in the East. I'm still very worried about the playoffs for most of these teams. Except, oh man, I was going to say, and I did say in our little group chat, Florida is still one of my picks because of their goaltending situation. But then they pull a goalie and then score
the other goalie is
6 goals.
Yeah, exactly. He shuts the door, more or less.
And it didn't even seem like he needed to. Like, there were a couple cool saves by Spencer Knight, but other than that, it was mostly the offense of the Panthers just destroying us and our defense. And I don't want to talk about who are the problems and who's sitting in the box.
See, we spend a lot of time talking about how Toronto can outscore the problems. Florida can outscore the problems as well. They're a very similar built team to Toronto. I think the biggest difference is that they've had Bobrovsky, who has had a good Bob season, and we've had a nightmare in all aspects of net.
Interestingly enough, last night was his second game being pulled in a row, and they still won.
Yes. And Toronto has a, .679 winning percentage, and with the goaltending we've had this season. So
yeah, true.
You can outscore your problems in this league, especially this year.
Well, keep going with that, Craig. What are you seeing, let's start with Florida, that makes them so good and basically the top team in the league other than Colorado?
See, I missed last night's game.
Okay.
And when we played them last time before that, they only scored the 2 goals. So it was kind of hard to tell it.
So I'll take it then.
Please take this one.
It's 100% their offense, and you mentioned that they kind of mirror the Leafs a little bit.
Loaded up front. They do have 4 solid lines.
Crazy loaded up front. And then they put in Giroux. And Giroux's like second line wing and third line wing. Like not even center. That is an insane upgrade for them.
Oh yeah.
And their top line, so their top 2 lines are spread out. Kind of like the Leafs. Like the top line is next level, Matthews Marner. Tavares is next level, but he's not playing with Nylander, who should be next level. And actually, he's been coming up quite a bit in the past couple games, which is great. But the Panthers are spread out across their lineup, at least across the forward group. And their defense definitely had some holes last night with the different, with how many goals were let in. And the Leafs took advantage of it, especially at the beginning of the second period. But they don't have Aaron Ekblad. If they had Ekblad, that pushes one person out of the lineup, and I'm guessing, based on this game, it would be Gustav Forsling, who's an offensive player, but so is Ekblad. So let's keep that bottom pairing of Gudish and Sherratt. Fuck that. I do not want to go near those two.
No.
That's not good. And
that's kind of like the pairing of Muzzin and Lyubushkin we've been kind of wanting to see since they got that.
Absolutely. I would love that. But, the only minor hole in this Florida team is their goaltending. And Spencer Knight doesn't always shut the door. Bobrovsky's a flip of the coin. You never know what's going to happen. Florida, they could go far with their offense, but they may have similar Leafs demons in the playoffs.
Do they have demons, though?
Well, they just don't have history. The only history they have is that they haven't won a playoff series since, 96? When they went to the Eastern Conference final?
Yeah. Didn't they go to the Stanley Cup final that year?
I think it might have been the year before that,
maybe,
or around that time. I don't quote me on it, but it's been longer than the Leafs, so they definitely have some demons. They lost last year, even though they played really, really well. They lost to Tampa. I think they've got some demons, or they're about to find them because they are all in. No first round picks for the next 3 years, including this year.
So you were asking what makes Florida so good. I think some of it may be that they have literally zero pressure from the media, from their 10,000 fans that are in the stadium and nobody else that's really caring. It's not like they have Toronto where they have literally 10 million people on their backs every single day. It's a hockey player's dream is to go to a place, play hockey, and nobody watch them and care. They just have no pressure in that sense.
On that same note, is Jonathan Huberdeau an NHL star?
Of course.
In the media sense.
Oh, God, no.
The Leafs have got those.
Huberdeau just broke the record for most points by a left winger, which is an insane stat because I did not realize that all the great guys are right wingers. Who would have figured?
Or centers, yeah.
Or centers. But, I mean, just for wings. But, Sasha Barkov, again, he's a superstar in this league, and he gets zero respect.
Nothing. But their payouts are relatively similar to the Leafs. I'm going to pull. I think they're both 10 each.
They just don't get any sort of any time with the media, really. And it seems like the hockey media that we listen to is, like the Friedman and Merricks, they know that they don't spend enough time talking about the Florida Panthers. But just there's so many big hockey markets where people are actually going to be listening to the podcast that's where you spend the time talking.
Absolutely. And you know what? I thought Huberdeau was signed. He's not.
He's an UFA?
He has next year, and then he's UFA, whereas Barkov's $10 million per year kicks in next year, and I think he's 10 for 8.
Yeah, because he signed just in the offseason, I think.
Whoa, Huberdeau is going to be a big number. And it's going to be either similar to Barkov, or he's taking a Florida discount.
Here's the thing that I don't think they're in cap hell. They've got Bobrovsky making 10. They've got Barkov making 10, but who's their next highest paid guy after that?
Reinhardt's making 6.5 for the next 2 years. What a steal from Buffalo. He was insane last night.
I don't think they'll have a hard time at all re-signing someone like Huberdeau because they can move some money around and they can make $12, $13 million work.
Bennett, their fourth best player, is around for the next 3 years at 4.425.
Yeah.
What a deal. What a deal.
These guys. Now, was the Reinhardt contract, did they sign that or did that come from Calgary?
Buffalo.
Buffalo. Wrong Reinhardt.
Yeah.
I'm like, crap.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Yep. Couldn't tell you. Give me 2 seconds on that one. It was signed
Dan, where
by...
are you?
Yeah, where's Dan when we need him? Dan is not here because life happens sometimes, and that's how it goes. He's not on the sandy beaches of North Bay like I was.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan. Yeah, this one is signed by Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yep, 6.5, which is good for him.
Yeah.
Because he is really living up to it. He was not doing that in Buffalo, but wow, he is a force on this team. Now, technically, Giroux was making 8, but since the salary retention cap friendly shows it at around 4, but
yeah.
Tampa. What makes Tampa good?
Everything.
But we kicked the shit out of them.
Vasilevsky had a bad night. I think that was a good chunk of it. I think they didn't give the Leafs big guys the respect that they deserved out on the ice. I think most of that game did come down to Vasilevsky. He doesn't let in 6 goals often. Vasilevsky is arguably the best goalie in the league. At least consistently, he is one of the top tier goalies in the league every single year.
Absolutely.
They have Hedman, who again, arguably the best defenseman in the league. They've got Kucherov, who has had a 127-point season the last couple years. They've got Braden Point, who's on even a $9.5 million a discount contract. They've got Steven Stamkos, who at any time, especially on the power play, is dangerous. Like, they have a solid top heavy team that they fit around very well.
Let me pause you there for a second.
Yeah.
What do you think about the fact that they loaded up their top line? It was Point, Kucherov, Stamkos.
They were dangerous for good chunks of the night. Jack had a great night. I think that they saw that they needed to try to do something against Toronto because Toronto was having a good night. I assume that they saw that Vasilevsky was not on, that they tried to go all in.
But they started with that lineup. It wasn't like a reaction to being down, whatever.
Yeah, but you know what a goalie's feeling like before you walk into a game. You know a team you're coming in to play against. They probably thought, well, Campbell's been out. He's only been back for 1 game. Let's try to get as many points on him as early as we can. And that line was dangerous for good chunks of the night, but they just couldn't.
I think they may have spread themselves a little thin. And now that I've checked on their lineup, at least from Tampa's game yesterday to Tampa's game today, they've put Stamkos on the second line as a center.
Okay.
So smart there, because the second line for Tampa on the Leafs game, Cirelli in the middle, he's good. Palat has not had a good year. Killorn is dangerous, but like nobody ever pays attention to him. Fourth line, Belmar, Perry, Maroon. That's a good line, but they're kind of old. And then this new makeshift third line that has come out of nowhere, Ross Colton, and then the new pickup with Brennan Hagel and Nick Paul. That is where I think Tampa is weak and will not
compared to
win.
last year, especially
compared to the last 2 years.
Those last 2 years, well, especially, do they have the same third line the last 2 cups?
I think so.
Yeah, like that was a dangerous line.
Ridiculous.
Yes.
And they tried their best to put it together again, which, good on them.
Yeah, it's not the same though.
I don't think it's the same, and I think that's going to be their downfall.
I'm going to do a quick segue here. You know who has a great third line?
Who?
Toronto.
Fuck yeah.
Toronto has a great third line.
And they need to stop fucking with it, but also Nylander's on it, and it's actually working.
I kept trying to figure out where to put it into this outline. Engvall and Nylander, they seem to have some pretty good chemistry on that line.
Something's going on, yeah.
And putting Willie with 2 guys who are as defensively responsible as Engvall and Kampf, he's looked good. He has looked really good over these last few games since he played on that third line. And yes, we want to see him getting more minutes, making the $8 million, $7 million, whatever he is.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can have that dangerous of a third line, it's worth spending that money down there.
And we've said this a couple times. I think now is the time to mix it up, to
Absolutely.
see what works. Because
we're game 5 or the elimination game when you're trying Nylander at center. We need to try combinations now.
Yeah. And if this third line doesn't seem to work against our first round opponent, you put Willie back with Tavares, and you already know that works.
Yeah,
at least the majority
back down,
of the time.
You know that line is also dangerous.
And then third line with Mikheyev or Kerfoot down there, go for it.
Or just send out Clifford to go take penalties so we can get on the shorthanded.
I don't know what to say about Clifford. He's there for the bite. He doesn't do even much of that anymore.
Not in the same sense. Like,
he had his fight. It was okay.
Yeah.
Was that in Philly? I can't even remember now.
I know.
There was a fight.
Did he have a fight?
He had a fight. That. Yeah, it was.
Simmons did.
And Simmons had his fight. We're going to talk about Simmons in a bit here, but like, I don't know. Clifford, I understand why he's there. It's like Clifford or Simmons. I don't think it should be both, but the fact that they had both for the Winnipeg game was
necessary.
Smart. I think that was smart, and I think it brought the temperature down significantly. Because while this game was supposed to be kind of a rematch after Spezza getting suspended, it didn't seem to have that flair to it that it could have.
Well, Spezza wasn't in that game, was he?
He also wasn't in that game.
Yes.
So,
not that I don't think there would have been anything there. Really, I don't think Spezza is the kind of guy that there's going to be a retaliation against.
True.
But I think there's just enough hate between those two teams. It was a good idea to, put in the tough guys just to know, you're not going to mess with us tonight. Let's bring this all down.
Okay, just to finish up this conversation about Florida and Tampa. Florida, an super unlikely first-round opponent now, which I guess is maybe unfortunate. But would you agree that the Leafs beating Florida is all about their goaltending, and the Leafs beating Tampa is all about their third line? I guess third line on third line too.
Yeah, when you have those matchups, I think the Leafs would prevail in that. Mm-hmm. Even possibly second line and second line. Even the fourth lines, like Toronto played a good fourth line game. Mm-hmm. That fourth line, even with the Simmons and
Blackwell on the fourth, what a gem!
Yeah, that's
this guy's good.
That guy needs to get more reps in. Like I don't think he should be sitting at this point.
No, I don't think so either, and I don't think Clifford should be going in for him ever. Blackwell, Spezza, Simmons, I'm fine with that.
That is a pretty good line.
That's a pretty good line.
I would be pretty happy with that.
If somebody has to go down, okay, fine. Clifford comes in. Okay, fine. Abruzzese comes in.
Yeah.
I just said him. Did you get to see him play?
I did.
What do you think?
I thought he looked pretty good.
Really?
Honestly. I thought he had his opportunities. Mm-hmm. He looked like he was a little bit behind the play. He wasn't getting engaged as much as maybe he could be. But again, he's only a couple games in, and he was finding his opportunities. He was getting some pretty good shots, but I don't think he was necessarily being impactful.
I agree with that last statement. They're not really impactful, and he looked very tentative. That's fine. It's your first couple NHL games.
That's why he's in there.
That's allowed, man. It's allowed. Yeah. But I do not see it sticking simply because of that, and that's okay.
I'm waiting for Knies to come in.
I am too.
He looks like a guy that's going to stick in the league.
Did you know he's like 6'3", 200 pounds?
Yeah. When I heard that, he's Matthews almost.
Yeah.
Size.
And he was doing some Matthews stuff in some of his highlights for UMass or whatever. And I'm like,
please give me that line.
Yeah. Just put him up with Tavares. Put him up with Neil or with Matthews.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, Bunting.
I was going to say, but do you take Bunting off that line?
Maybe like just once, just to see what happens.
Sure.
Just to see how it feels.
Yeah.
And then we're playing Ouch Ouch, You're on My Hair.
Yeah.
Wedding Crashers, 2005. I don't know. Great movie. Okay, so let us know in some of our Instagram comments, what do you think it would take to beat a team like Florida or Tampa in the playoffs? Because win a round or just first round, we're probably going to play one of these teams.
Should we talk about the B word?
There's a couple B words. I have back. I have boosh. I have... What's the B word?
The one that we don't normally say on this podcast.
What's a B word?
Boston.
I don't want to talk about Boston.
Okay.
No. Boston was...
We'll save that for another day.
It was an awesome game. I don't even remember the score now. It was so long ago. 6-4. What a great game. And you...
Wasn't that like 5 days ago?
It was like 5 days ago. No, that was more. That was 8 days ago.
Oh.
It was 8 days. Like, who knows?
Like we said, time is irrelevant.
And they scared away Swayman, which is not hard or not easy to do. So good on them. I want Boston. I want Boston in the first round. Let's destroy these demons. I don't want new demons with Tampa. It was Boston, demons. New demons with Columbus.
The good thing is eventually we'll run out of new demons and
that's
we
true.
won't be able to collect anymore.
That's true. Or we won't make the playoffs. One of the two.
Yeah. Or is Toronto just trying to catch them all?
Pokemon.
Start thinking of them as Pokemon and not demons.
That's true. Well, we kind of do, especially in fantasy and stuff. It's like, go, do my bidding. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Make me money. Okay, Jake Muzzin is back in the lineup.
Yes.
What do you think about Jake Muzzin?
Like I said, I missed that game.
You missed the game. Never mind. Yeah. I forgot. Okay. What do you think about the fact that Lyubushkin was the one that was taken out?
From what I saw based on the highlights, I think that he needs to come back in. Now, I think the reason why, from what one person said, the reason why he was out is because Muzzin and Hall already have the chemistry, and they wanted to get some reps in and practice with Muzzin and Lyubushkin before they put him in a game.
Sure.
I can understand that if that's the reason,
mm-hmm.
but honestly, I don't think they should be taking out Lyubushkin for Hall at this point.
Not even a little bit. Put Muzzin with Brody. Like, they've had reps before.
Yep.
Also, anyone can play with Brody.
Yeah, let's put like Brody, Lyubushkin, Hall and Brody, or Muzzin and Brody. That'd be fine.
Yeah.
And we can't break up Gio and Lily.
At least not yet. Gio taking a couple weird penalties, but you know what? Like, he almost can't do wrong. And he's like,
I'm fine with whatever he does.
He's old Brody. That's all. Like, he's just doesn't really make mistakes. He's just, this is an offensive chance for the bad team. There's Gio. Never mind.
Yep.
Like, you can just look away. It's like, this is going to be fine. This is fine.
He's good for my heart.
Yes.
Very good for my heart.
So they did put Muzzin Hall back together, and oh my God, they were bad against the Panthers.
That's what I heard.
The Panthers had 7 goals. One of them was a fluke because it was Gudish shooting from the blue line.
Yeah.
And then one of them was the OT goal, and 3-on-3 doesn't count, and you're not going to have Muzzin Hall at the same time at 3-on-3. As far as I remember, Muzzin and Hall were on for every other goal. There was maybe one that wasn't.
And 13 goals, and Gio and Lily weren't on for any of them. Go figure.
Okay. But
yeah,
almost all goals were close to the net, and Muzzin and Hall were out of position. And it was mostly Hall.
Which is funny. Yeah, I was going to say, because it's funny because Muzzin has generally been pretty good in front of the net.
He's not Lyubushkin, though.
But he's not Lyubushkin.
That's so weird to say.
Lyubushkin has taken a fair amount of penalties.
Yeah.
But I think he kind of plays the Dustin Byfuglien style. Is like, they're not going to call them all.
Yeah.
So if I am, if I'm tying up sticks on every play, some are going to be questionable, but they're not going to call them all.
Yeah. So you think take Hall out for the next game? Or
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Honestly, if it wasn't because if we didn't have 7 great defensemen, I would say Hall should still play. He's still an AHL defenseman.
Yeah.
But I think with the way that the pairings have worked out, that just makes sense that he's the odd man out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't know how else to put it. I think it has to be Hall. If Liljegren decides to not be good, okay, maybe you put Hall back in. Maybe you mix it around. It's totally fine. The fact that Brody can play on both sides, wow, that
makes the Sandin injury a lot easier.
You can do so many things. And how many times have we ever had too many right defensemen?
I was 4 years old.
Oh, go on.
I don't even know if that's for sure, honestly.
I was 4 years old and in an Oscar Mayer Wiener commercial.
It wasn't even in that yet. I think Thomas Caberlet was still playing in the Czech league.
Yeah. Okay, so don't forget, Sheldon Keefe, I know you listen to the podcast. Please put Ilya Lyubushkin back in. And you know what? You could take anybody else out, but please put Ilya Lyubushkin back in. We really enjoyed the space that he provides in front of the net. That would be nice. Another player who's back, Mr. Jackamus Campbell. I love that he's back. You got to watch the Tampa game?
Yes.
Did he outduel Vasilevsky?
I would say so.
That is...
I think Vasilevsky, the work that he had to do was much more difficult. Mm-hmm. I think the Leafs defense played really well in front of Jack.
Mm-hmm.
And
he had to make some
really nice saves.
Oh,
yeah. I think his best save since coming back was in the Philly game, though, in the first period. Which funny that it didn't even make the Sportsnet highlights. That diving Superman glove save. I think Jack looks like he's back to classic Jack.
I think so too. Even in the Florida game when he had to come in relief, he was cold and he wasn't
And he played the night
sharp.
before.
Yeah, he wasn't super sharp, but he still made some serious saves. It could have got a lot worse than it actually was.
Mm-hmm.
Based on the Philly and the Tampa game, what gives you, first of all, faith about his game? Like what helps you say we got vintage Jack? What still gives you pause as well? What are the two things you may be thinking about?
Well, he seemed to really be battling again. There was a while there, I know there was 3 games after his rib injury that he continued to play, and those were really bad. So I'm going to discount those. But even before that, there's a lot of things just kind of squeaking through him, and it just seemed like the compete level wasn't there in the same way. But he looked like he was back to, high level Jack Campbell, that he was competing on every play. Like his reflexes on like down low, like he made a lot of great pad saves. That dive save, yes, you can say he was diving because he was out, but that was off a really good rebound. And I think he just, the little things, the 5-hole, things like that, they just seem to be closed up. That it just seems like the attention to detail is back, and that's what we were missing for a while. Was just that Jack Campbell attention to detail, and above all else, the butt taps are back.
Oh, that's the best.
Yes,
I love that. Never mind. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. I'll tell you afterwards. Does anything give you pause about his game, like playoffs, or I know you didn't see the Panthers game, but the fact that still, quite a few goals went in.
Again, he came in cold on a back-to-back. Whatever happened in that game, he allowed 3.
Yeah.
4, I guess, on the overtime. Doesn't really matter.
Right.
But I'll give him a pass on that one. I won't judge him on that. But as long as he continues to compete, and as long as he can give relatively average goaltending for the rest of the season, I think Toronto is going to be in a good place. What's going to give me pause isn't what Jack Campbell's doing, is the fact that Mrazek is injured. Shelgren, we don't know what his situation is right now. He had to leave the game after taking a puck to the mask, I think it was.
His mask or neck.
Yeah.
It was close. But he did come back, but he just didn't go back in game.
Yeah. Well, I haven't heard any more since then, so. And what else do they have? They've got Hutchinson.
Yes. That's it. You found the list.
I found the list. I guess there's
technically Hutton.
David Ayres just took a coaching job somewhere, so
really?
He's not even available. Yeah, apparently.
I
saw it this afternoon. Congratulations, David Ayres. And then the Marlies are running with 2 E-bugs.
Is this an
right
NHL
now.
NHL coaching
No,
job?
no.
Okay.
I believe it's a university team, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's fun.
Fun. But yeah, I think they've got that other goalie on the Marlies, Petruzzelli.
Well, he's signed to an
AHL contract who could sign, but then he wouldn't be able to be sent back down.
So, wouldn't he have to go through waivers?
No, because he's not coming in from another country.
Ah,
yeah, he's coming from the AHL up, because you're not technically hiding a guy, I guess, in the same way. But yes, he would not be waiver exempt, and I think at that point you can't even send him down, or else he would be ineligible for the playoffs. Something weird there.
Okay.
But if you know that Mrazek's going to be, we know Mrazek's going to be out for 6 weeks, and if you know that Shelgren's not going to be able to come back before the playoffs, they need something, and I don't think Hutchinson can be that person.
I don't think so either.
At this point, I have zero faith in Hutchinson.
He's not even an AHL goaltender.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
But I think you would have to give Petruzzelli a shot at that point. I think it's not even a Jack Campbell fault. I think the fault is just that he's had an injury history, and we're that away from total collapse in net.
If if it happens the way that you just said, Campbell is going to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row before we get to a back-to-back, and each of those games every other day. Yeah. There's 1 3-day gap there.
But like I've also said, this seems to be when Jack shines the most, when he's got no pressure coming from behind him.
That's true. So, who plays against the Sens or who plays against the Islanders? That's the back-to-back, not this coming weekend, but the one after that.
In net against the against the Senators is going to be Ilya Lyubushkin.
Okay. Yep. I'm fine with this. This is fine.
And then we're not going to be worrying about the guy standing in front of the net.
Man, I would love if you could actually do that. Like when you throw in a position player as a pitcher.
You absolutely can.
Oh, man.
There's nothing in the league that says you can't play a goalie.
But I want it to actually happen. Like, and I'm fine if it's Matthews. That'd be fucking hilarious.
I would just love to see Lyubushkin in there just throwing blockers in front of the net.
He's pushing.
Not my blue paint.
He's pushing guys out of the way, but he's the goalie. And he's like, oh, right, that's not my role right now. But
I think it was one of the Tampa goals. Campbell tried to do that. He tried to push the guy in front of him.
Yeah.
And as he's pushing him, the shot's taken and it's past him already.
Ah, darn.
Yeah. tried to clear the guy in front of his own net, but put himself out.
The only thing that gives me pause about Jack's game is, between the ears.
Yeah.
That's it. That he potentially, even because of this Florida game, he puts a little bit too much pressure on himself. The fact that he's going to be the starter for the next 5, 6, 7 games. If he doesn't succeed, it's tough for him to get back into the game. Now, I think the fact that no one is potentially taking his job, like you said, is going to help with that, which is so weird. There's no pressure, but it's self-pressure sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, the way that you can, your sense of self-worth like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, knowing that one bad game might be, like, look what happened to Freddie last year.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it was an injury, and you don't lose your job to an injury, but it can happen.
Mm-hmm.
And just you have someone else come up behind you. And I think that maybe Jack, just knowing that there's no pressure on him to lose that spot, might be exactly what he needs.
That's true. That's true.
Cross our fingers.
Wayne Simmons has been in and out of the lineup a little bit. In his game against Philly, he did have a fight. However, in his game, I believe it was against Winnipeg, there was probably going to be a fight, and the ref just said no and threw them out of the game.
That was Tampa. That was him jawing with Patrick Maroon.
And then in Tampa.
Oh, okay.
There's a second one. And then in Tampa, he's jarring with Maroon, but they're both on the bench.
Yeah.
And they both get bench minors or whatever. Game misconducts, 10 minutes or something.
Yeah, 10-minute misconduct.
Yeah, they're just sitting in the penalty box for 10 minutes. I swear, when they were jabbing back and forth, they were just talking. I don't think there was any animosity. It was just like, yo, how's it going?
There was.
I don't
know if you heard Maroon's comments.
I didn't, but it just the looks on their faces, it didn't look like it. It's like, this is stupid. How are you doing? Oh, I'm good. How's your family?
They're both in the same draft class, and they've been playing against each other since the OHL.
Okay.
I actually don't think that this came out from Maroon. It came out from whoever was standing between the benches. He heard Maroon say, oh, yeah, well, whatever, you're not even going to be in the league next year, to Simmons.
Right.
Made some sort of comment like that. It's just like, you guys are the same age.
Yeah.
And you're also kind of a fourth liner as well there, Patrick Maroon. But
3-time Stanley Cup winner in a row.
Doesn't? Okay, sure.
In a row. Good Lord. So, given penalties before actually fighting.
The ref apparently said this doesn't look good on TV. That's why they gave them penalties.
Okay.
Do you agree with that? That you should give a penalty for just the image on TV?
Me? No.
No. Okay.
But I want to know your talk on it, because we've talked about fighting a little bit. We've talked about penalties being called or not called for the sake of the game. This one, based on the information you just said, it was called for the sake of the game, but was called potentially prematurely. There could have been a fight. It could have been, ratings boosting, could have been highlights, blah, 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 which is what we think at least the higher ups want, things like that. Do you think this was a good idea for 2 times Simmons to be kicked out before the fight actually happens?
I wonder if it might be a bit of a retaliation to the Beagle and Terry situation.
Okay.
That I know there's a lot of talk right now to fighting in the game.
Yes.
And I think there's been a lot of press, specifically bad press, to the NHL from the comments from Trevor Zegras.
Mm-hmm.
How this guy should be effing suspended and how this, protect the stars of the game.
Yep.
I think they just wanted some time without any fights, without anything going wrong. And they just said to the refs, just shut it down. There isn't that many fights anyways. Just shut it down.
If you see it coming, just shut it down.
That's my conspiracy theory for it all.
Okay.
I think it's kind of silly that they would give penalties before Like I doesn't seem like they said anything that was out of the norm.
The norm
for what goes on the benches and on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only thing that I can think of is that the NHL said to the refs, "This is a big game. Shut it down. We don't want to be seeing that kind of stuff right now."
Do you think fighting should still be in the game?
There's a time and a place. I think stage fights like that, like not that, but let's say the McEwen and Simmons fight in the Philadelphia game.
Yes.
That was staged. That was going to happen.
Sure.
They basically said to each other before the face-off, "We're going to fight."
Yeah.
And then it went to commercial, and they didn't. Then they just kind of walked away, and then they came back and fought later. But
yeah.
I think generally there should be more of an emphasis on the fact that fighting is hits to the head. They're the same thing.
Okay.
They say we want to take hits to the head out of the game,
mm-hmm.
and running a fist at somebody's face is still a fist to the head.
Oh, yes.
Let them fight, but it's game misconduct. Like,
okay,
it's gonna happen. You say we're gonna stand up for a guy, and then you're out of there.
But just for 10 minutes.
No, that'd be a game misconduct.
Oh, you mean okay, whole game? Yeah, you fight. Bye.
Yeah,
done.
Especially if it's let's say it's in the third.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime in the third. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's
for
over.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so you think the game misconduct route would be better than the preemptive penalty route?
Yeah, I think that was just kind of silly, just to give guys penalties for
mm-hmm.
not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, it reminded me of the Nazem Kadri penalty for getting his stick swung at his face.
Yeah. What the heck? Good Lord.
So I had an interesting moment this morning. I was thinking, I was listening to one of the other podcasts. I think I was listening to 32 Thoughts, and they were talking about willing combatants and fighting in the game. And I had a moment of thinking back to when I was a kid, thinking about who are my favorite players.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about, I think someone brought up that, McGillney recently, and, how he was such an underrated Leaf for the time. And I think back and go, who are my favorite Leafs growing up? Ty Domi and Darcy Tucker. And those are two of the toughest SOBs that Leafs have had in the last, God knows how long. Possibly ever. And I think to now, and I go, I wouldn't want to watch those guys in the league. Like, they bring something, but the thing that they brought was violence.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't bring skill necessarily.
No, Tucker did.
Tucker did to an
extent.
extent.
More so than Domi, for sure.
Yeah, but to an extent, they weren't bringing high quality,
mm-hmm.
Talent. What makes me want to watch the game right now is guys like Trevor Zegras and the skill.
Yes.
Marner. Like the thing, like that.
What a tear.
Yeah, like that shorthanded goal last night where he just gave through 5 guys
mm-hmm.
to score. Like, that's the stuff we need to be seeing now. And you shouldn't have to send out some sort of goon just to protect these guys.
Right.
You should be making the entire game focused around the stars and around the talent and around goals. Goals is what we want to go see. And if you want to go watch two people fight, go watch wrestling or UFC or whatever. There's other sports.
There's literally a stage for that.
There literally is an octagon for that. Like, we don't necessarily need to be watching a boxing match on ice.
I would love to see more fights in soccer, though, because what they do is just, they went too far.
One swing and completely miss, you drop, and you're
just like, touch of the pinky. Oh my God, I'm going to die. Wait, oh no, I'm fine.
I love that moment in Ted Lasso when Sam falls down and he's like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Actually, I'm fine, but I've been laying here too long, and I kind of feel weird just to stand up." It's like, okay, so just pretend like you're hurt, and then I'm gonna help you up, okay?
Just limp it for a bit, and then you're fine. So we don't need the enforcers anymore. We want more skill.
Yes.
What about the playoffs?
Call the same rule book.
Okay.
We literally have them written down in black and white. Let's just follow it.
What about the fans that say it's different hockey? And they want different hockey. They want high energy. They want this.
You can have high energy and you can have
physical. They want physical.
I love a giant hit. Okay. I love a giant clean hit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love when that leads to 7 guys doing nothing productive anymore, just throwing, unless it's a goalie fight. Please. I want to see Jack Campbell in a goalie fight.
No.
Just so he can go up and hug the guy into submission.
Instead, yeah, he just goes up. Let's go. No. Let's go. Let's hug this out. Especially if it's him and Freddie. Oh, that'd be nuts. That'd be so stupid.
I bring love.
It's such a fine line. And what I hear the most is, well, that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Because the loudest voices are not always the majority.
True.
As we have learned over the last couple of years,
just in so many different ways.
Just because you're the loudest voice and you have the loudest opinion doesn't mean that you necessarily have everybody's, best in mind.
Yeah. I say that in my classes all the time. It's all the time. I give them options because, they should be in charge of their learning and so on and so on. Okay, do you guys want to do this or this? And there's like 3 people that are just going nuts. And they're like, we should do it like this and this should be like this. And it's just loud. And I'm like, it's not the loudest people that are going to win this battle. Hands up. We're voting here. Okay. Yeah. And it's not first past the post. It's okay. There was 3 options. Okay, now we're down to 2 options. What are we doing? Sort of thing. So funny.
And I think, but the keep fighting, keep this high level violence in the game is just coming from the loudest voices who aren't necessarily the what's a good nice way to say this? I can't think of a nice way to say this. I think you know who I'm talking about.
Yes. Freedom.
Yes, they're not they're not running the brain cell factory, let's just say that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. That was fun. Sorry, Dan, that you weren't here. We'll bring you back next week, maybe in person, maybe online. You never know. Nobody ever knows. Nobody knows. What's going to happen next week, Craig, in 2020?
There will be no COVID.
Can you imagine?
And I think Trump's going to lose the election.
Okay, we're on different wavelengths right now. Thank you so much for listening to Leafs Fans in Hostile Lands. Don't forget to follow us on all your favorite social media. And go Leafs, go!
Go Leafs, go!